I'm 91 years old, and my children stole my home while I was still breathing in it, not after I died, not when I was confused in some hospital bed, while I was sitting at my own kitchen table, drinking my own coffee, looking at my own walls. And the worst part isn't the theft. The worst part is that I saw it coming, and I let it happen because I wanted to believe my own children were better than they were. My name is Eleanor. I bought this house in 1968 with my husband Thomas, 3-bedroom brick on the west side of Detroit, $18,500. Took us 9 years to save the down payment. Thomas worked at Chrysler. I worked reception at a dentist's office on Grand River. We had 3 kids, Kenneth in 59, Sandra in 62, and little Paul in 65. 3 kids, 1 bathroom, a yard the size of a parking space, and we were happy. Not exciting happy, just steady happy. The kind you don't notice until it's gone. Before I go on, I want to thank this channel for giving people like us a voice. Subscribe, share your thoughts in the comments. Thomas died in 1987. Heart attack on a Tuesday. He was 51 years old. One day he was mowing the lawn, and the next day he was in a box. And I was a widow with a mortgage and 3 teenagers. Kenneth was already gone, married and living in Livonia, but Sandra was 25, and Paul was 22, and neither one of them could hold down a job long enough to help with anything. So I did what I'd always done. I went to work. I kept the house. I paid it off in 1993. 25 years of payments, and that house was mine. Every brick, every crack in the basement floor, mine. I raised those children in that house. I nursed Thomas through his last years in that house. I sat at that kitchen table and helped Sandra through her divorce in 1990, and held Paul's hand when he got sober in 1995. That house wasn't just a building. It was the place where everything happened, and my children knew that. They grew up in it. They knew what it meant. 2018, I was 83. I fell in the bathroom, broke my hip. Kenneth was the one who found me. He'd come by to drop off groceries, which he did every Sunday because Kenneth was the good one. Always was. He took me to Henry Ford Hospital. They fixed my hip. I recovered, but while I was in there, Sandra showed up with papers. She said, "Mom, we need to talk about your affairs, just in case something like this happens again." She'd brought a power of attorney form, already filled out, already notarized. All I had to do was sign. She said Kenneth agreed. She said Paul agreed. She said it was just so someone could pay your bills if you're in the hospital again. Just a precaution, just to make things easier. And I signed it because she was my daughter, because I trusted her, because I didn't want to be difficult, because that's what mothers do, right? We don't make waves. We don't suspect our own children of things that children shouldn't do. But here's what nobody tells you about power of attorney. It's not a safety net. It's a key. And once you hand it over, you don't get to decide what door it opens. For 2 years, nothing happened. Sandra paid my bills. She seemed responsible. I was grateful. Kenneth still came on Sundays. Paul called sometimes. Things felt normal. I was foolish enough to think they were normal. Then in 2018, Sandra started mentioning the house. Not directly at first, just little comments. Mom, this house is getting too big for you. Mom, all those stairs can't be good for your hip. Mom, have you thought about somewhere with less upkeep? I'd laugh it off. I'd say, I've been climbing these stairs for 50 years. I'll manage. But she kept going. Every visit, every phone call. Like water on a stone. Kenneth didn't like it. I could tell. He'd get quiet when Sandra brought it up. One Sunday he said to me in the kitchen, low so she wouldn't hear, Mom, don't let her push you into anything. I said, she's not pushing. She's just concerned. Kenneth looked at me with this expression, not anger, something worse. Pity. Like he already knew how this was going to end, and he couldn't stop it. March 2019, Sandra brought a realtor to my house. Didn't ask, just brought her. Said she was just getting a number. Said it was just information. I sat in my living room while a woman I'd never met walked through my rooms, opened my closets, looked at my walls like they were already someone else's, and I didn't say a word. You know why? Because by then, Sandra had already moved my bank accounts into her name. I didn't know that yet. I wouldn't know for another year. But she had. And she knew that if I got upset, if I made a scene, Kenneth might get involved. So she was careful. She was patient. She'd been planning this longer than I realized. They listed the house in June 2019. I found out when a stranger knocked on my door and asked if he could see the property. I said, what property? He showed me the listing on his phone. My house, my address, $145,000, with pictures someone had taken while I was at a doctor's appointment. I called Sandra. She said, Mom, Kenneth and Paul agreed. We talked about it. You're not safe here anymore. This is what's best for you. I said, I didn't agree to sell my house. She said, I have power of attorney. I don't need your agreement. And that sentence, that one sentence, it broke something in me that has never fixed itself. I don't need your agreement. My own daughter, the little girl I rocked in that house, the teenager whose heart I held together when her husband left her. She didn't need my agreement. The house sold in August 2019, $138,000. Sandra took her share. Paul took his. Kenneth refused his. I know because Kenneth told me later. He said, I want no part of this, Mom. I tried to stop it. And I believe him, but trying isn't stopping, is it? They moved me into a place called Sunset Gardens, assisted living, one room, one window, a bed that isn't mine, walls that aren't mine, 51 years in that house, and they put me in a box with a number on the door, room 114. I've been in room 114 for 5 years. Sandra visits once a month. She stays 20 minutes. She talks about her life, her house, her renovation. She doesn't seem to understand what she's doing, Or maybe she does and she just doesn't care. Paul visits on holidays sometimes, brings his wife. They're polite. They act like nothing happened, like they didn't take a woman's home and sell it out from under her. Kenneth visits every Sunday. He brings me books. He holds my hand, and I can see it in his eyes. The guilt, not his guilt. He didn't do it, but the guilt of not stopping it. The guilt of watching his sister take everything and not being able to prove it was wrong because she had the papers. She had the power. She had the law on her side. And here's what I need you to understand. I wasn't confused. I wasn't senile. I wasn't some old woman who didn't know what she was signing. I knew. I knew what that power of attorney meant. I knew what Sandra was doing, and I signed anyway because I couldn't believe my own child would do this. That's the weapon they used. Not my confusion, my love, my trust, my inability to believe that someone I raised would treat me like an asset to be liquidated. You're sitting there thinking this is a legal story. It's not. It's a love story. A twisted, broken love story about what happens when a mother's love is stronger than her common sense. I could have said no in 2016. I could have called a lawyer. I could have told Sandra to get out of my house with her papers. But she was my daughter, and mothers don't believe their daughters are capable of this. Your parents are going to get old. That's not a question. It's a fact. And when they do, they're going to become vulnerable in ways you can't imagine right now. They're going to need help with things they used to do easily. They're going to have to trust someone, and that trust is the most fragile thing they have left. Don't weaponize it. Don't be the person who takes advantage of it. I'm 91 years old. I outlived my husband by 37 years. I paid off a house with my own hands. I raised 3 children through things they don't even remember. And I lost it all because I loved someone more than I protected myself. That's my fault. I know that, but it's also their fault, and I need them to know that I know. I need Sandra to know that I remember everything. Every visit, every lie. Every time she said, "This is what's best for you," when she meant, "This is what's best for me." I'm not going to get my house back. I know that. The money is gone. The years are gone. But I still have my mind. I still have my memory. And I'm using it right now to tell you, watch what's happening to your parents. Watch who has the keys. Watch who's making the decisions. Because by the time you realize what's being taken, it's already gone. Don't wait until they're in room 114 to ask them if they're okay. Ask them now, while they can still answer, while they can still end their own kitchen, while they can still have something left to lose.